Hi everybody, it's Kris Hicks, Head of Press and Communications at UKIP. I'm joined once again with Carl Benjamin, UKIP member. We're talking about the issues of the day. I think the immediate issue, of course, is the news of Theresa May. She's gone to the European Union. She's begging them for an extension to Article 50 up until June the 30th. But since I've been travelling to this, there's been a few other developments, hasn't there?
Yes. So Theresa May's request that was a leaked, we saw the leaked letter that was her request. It was about a page and a half and it was utterly servile. Obviously, she has no position from which to negotiate. All she can do is beg at this point, which is, I mean, the Times are describing it as pleading, which is pretty embarrassing, all things considered. But Brussels decided to say no. We will not give you an extension until June the 30th, but we will instead give you a binary choice. You can either have until May the 23rd or an indefinite but much greater extension, which presumably is the sort of roughly 2-year that has been thrown around. This is not what Theresa May has been asking for, obviously, and it just goes to show you just how obstreperous the European Union is when it wants to be. I mean, there is no particular reason, as far as I can see, that May the 23rd. I mean, why that date? You know, they've given no particular reason as far as I can see.
Well, May the 23rd, of course, would be the date of the UK European Parliament elections. That would be the date of it in itself. But it's also interesting in terms of other dates. What Theresa May put forward was June the 30th. Now, of course, not many people know this, but the existing mandate from the 2014 European Parliament election runs until the 1st of July. So June the 30th is basically the last day, the longest extension she could ask for before actually being obliged to run a European Parliament election. And we all know that is definitely something the leader of the Conservative Party and the Prime Minister does not want.
Yes, absolutely. And so, yes, so this has come back to Theresa May, and all of this is because obviously she can't get her deal voted through Parliament. Bercow has said that didn't he say he didn't want a third vote on her deal?
Yeah, so effectively John Bercow ruled that if there was no substantial difference to her deal, then he would not allow it to go forward. It's not a rule in Parliament, but it is a very old precedent, and it basically stops the government or any other group from basically forcing a vote on the same issue every single week in, week out.
Which is a sensible thing to do.
Absolutely.
It's a very sensible thing. So Theresa May has now threatened to quit if MPs push for a delay past June the 30th. This, of course, is good news for everyone who doesn't like the Conservative Party, but it's bad news for the Conservative Party because it's quite a strong blow towards them because a large group of the Remainer MPs, the Remainer Tory MPs, have literally said, quote, they will not stay in a party run by Brexit ultras because the great fear is that Boris Johnson will become the Tory leader. And Boris Johnson has recently said, in fact, he said this on the 12th of March, so not so recently, but the most recent commentary I can get from Boris Johnson, I can find from Boris Johnson on the idea of a no deal was he was in favour of it. He says the UK can leave without a deal, there will be difficulties, but that is, quote, the only safe route out of the European Union, which I have to say I completely agree with.
Absolutely. I mean, this is certainly crunch time for Brexit, but the real question is this total crunch time for the Conservative Party? I mean, it seems like the Conservative Party is now facing an existential crisis over this, and whatever the solution is for them is, well, who knows really? I mean, it's quite simple. We should leave on March the 29th. That is what was in the legislation. What is it with Theresa May's belief? I mean, one day I'm sure somebody will do some kind of study on the mind of Theresa May. Why is she so obsessed with pushing this deal forward?
I think I have an answer to this because we were listening to the parliamentary debate on the way here, and Jeremy Corbyn has effectively pinned Theresa May in a corner because Theresa May obviously doesn't want no deal. No one else in the parliament wants no deal apart from the Brexit ultras in the Conservative Party, and so Jeremy Corbyn was just hammering her, saying we can't go for no deal, we can't go for no deal, and for some reason Theresa May just doesn't have the fortitude to stand up to Jeremy Corbyn. It seems that he's the one battering her further into this corner, and now she's going, well, I'll quit then. It's like, well, or your alternative would say, no, if you don't accept my deal, we're going no deal. instead of just, I mean, it really seems to be the bunker mentality of Westminster at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we learned yesterday that most cabinet ministers were not informed of what her plans were. They weren't shared the actual communique with the EU. She seems to be closer in terms of her communicational structure with the European Union than her own cabinet ministers. Total bunker mentality. But still, at the end of the day, why is she so absolutely committed to a document which is effectively a surrender document to the European Union? I mean, is this all about her place in history? I mean, surely she's ruined that at this point.
That ship has sailed.
I think so, absolutely. So what else could it possibly be?
I do think that it's some dramatic fit, because the line keeps getting brought up. Nobody voted to be poorer. Nobody voted to lose their jobs. It's like, well, that's actually kind of not true. I mean, all of the MEPs from UKIP voted to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
There are doubtless many Brexiteers across the country who knew that their personal job may well be imperiled by the fact that we have to leave the European Union, but on point of principle, they voted anyway. Because, I mean, okay, losing a job is bad, but it's not the end of the world. And currently, the economy is doing really well. We're currently at the lowest unemployment since the 70s, 4%. And so, I mean, if ever we were in a good position to actually leave the EU without a deal, it's now. And all of the forecasts are forecasting growth. And so we are. I don't know why. I mean, it must be infuriating for like some Anglophile over in America or Canada or something watching Britain just get ground down by the European Union. Because, I mean, the European Union is currently in a massive position of strength, and it shows from everything they say. They are just stonewalling Theresa May at every avenue. They're giving her they're instead bifurcating her choices from the thing that she's asked for. They are saying, we're ready for no deal. I mean, literally saying, we're ready for no deal. It's up to you. We're happy with the deal that we've got with Theresa May. It's now up to you. But, I mean, they know that the deal is terrible for Britain, but of course that's why they want it. And so now they've just got everyone in the palm of their hand, exactly where they want them, and we've got nowhere to go except out. So what else is there to do?
But it's really quite astounding how it all seems to be down to Theresa May. I mean, I cannot remember at any point in history where a singular prime minister was effectively controlling the future prospects of the country and utterly failing at the same time, without paying heed to her government, without paying heed to Parliament, and without paying heed to the people.
You've got a great point there, actually, a really great point, because what's staggering is Theresa May will never be remembered as a strong leader. She's a phenomenally weak leader. And yet, as you say, she's in control of the entire process. She's consistently exiled her Brexit secretaries from like the inner circle. That's why David Davis quit and all the others, because they can't get any traction with her, because she's just single-minded on this issue. But the MPs in Parliament are weaker than she is. And so it's a terribly weak Prime Minister with a terribly weak Parliament in a Brexiteer country that don't want anything that's being proposed. And so she's in just the worst place. And if she would just take the step off, the ledge, she'll find that it's not as bad as she thinks. She'll land on a bed of roses or something. I don't know.
I think the other aspect as well, I remember Theresa May talking about her greatest disappointment in politics. And she said that it was the election of Margaret Thatcher. And the reason for that is that she always dreamed, when she was a lot younger, that she would be the first female Prime Minister.
Oh, really?
And Margaret Thatcher, of course, became Prime Minister. Yeah. So that whole mantle wasn't up to her anymore. She couldn't take that. She would have to settle for second, but she did become the second. Yeah. So, someone who, certainly very honest, but that kind of ego and ambition, to talk about that as a disappointment, as a loyal Conservative, to see that from her perspective, that's really quite astounding. So, is it really all about an egomania rather than anything else? I mean, to be locked into, as we've described, this bunker where she won't deal with absolutely anyone else at this point. It's an egomaniac, and we're leading to this disaster. And I understand now there is a coup being organised within the Tories to oust her at this point. It's all very messy, and it's all super embarrassing for the country. Yeah. And we also understand as well that Emmanuel Macron said that France will actually block any kind of extension to Article 50. So
yeah, which is pretty incredible, because I was relying on either Viktor Orban or Matteo Salvini to do it. I thought that it was going to be one of the Eurosceptics that saved us, but no, it would be. And again, if we're talking about ego, I mean, Macron is the height of an egotistical leader. You know, I mean, coming in when he first came in saying he wanted a Jupiterian presidency. I mean, good grief, Macron. You know, calm your horses, because you're not exactly a popular lad over in your country. And yeah, isn't that amazing though? The entire political class of Europe is becoming deeply unpopular with the electorates themselves. I mean, in the next 10 years, surely we're going to see quite a lot of flipping just generally of the political landscape. But yeah, I mean, like, who are our allies? Who are our enemies here? I didn't think that we'd be calling on Macron to save Brexit.
Well, quite, but I think it's interesting with Macron as well, because I made a point before how if a European nation actually stops the Article 50 extension, it would then force May to either accept no deal, which he's definitely not going to do, or to effectively cancel Article 50. So, of course, the net result of Mr. Macron doing that, it could actually stop the Brexit process entirely. So, you know, he's not so much a friend, but it's a different strategy from an enemy which could actually stop Brexit.
But there is surely no option for her cancelling Article 50.
It's political suicide, firstly for her and also for the Conservative Party.
Yes. Right, well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Absolutely. Watch this space.